Hey guys, it's Miss Bloodworth. I'm here just to clarify a couple of things on this week's project. In case you are a little bit overwhelmed with it, I just want everyone to breathe and relax because it's really not as hard as we're making it, but I want to further explain just in case if you're a little bit behind and you need to work on this at home, okay? So to clarify, you do get extra credit if you bring in the treats on Friday. However, if you decide not to, it's not going to affect your grade. So if you're not able to make the treats, that's okay. It was just more of a fun activity to work with real life proportions, okay? So if you can see my screen, this was the introductory on your packet. Your packet should look like this, okay, on the front cover. It has a checklist, and each day in class, we have things that we're doing, and each night you have something to work on for homework to help you finish the project on time, okay? So if you flip open to the inside of your packet, which is the screen I'm on right now with my mouse, this page basically just tells you all about the project, and it lists out for you all the things you will need. The first step, which was Monday's homework, said to choose a recipe of anything. So it can be any type of recipe. It must include at least 8 ingredients, and it must serve at least between 5 and 9 people. If it serves more or less, message me personally and we can talk about what your assignment's going to look like, okay? So for now, just keep in mind those are the minimum requirements. Our first step, what we did in Tuesday's class, was we were using proportions to find the unit rate. What that means is we have to find what this recipe would look like if we just made it for one person. So for example, let's say if I had a recipe and it called for 2 cups of sugar, okay? And let's say that my recipe of cookies, right, had 5 people. Like it served 5 people. So what I would do is I would have to divide the 2 ingredients by 5 people to figure out how much sugar I would need for one person. So here's what I'm doing. I'm setting up my proportions to look like this because I want my answer to be in a fraction form. So again, this is the amount of sugar you have from your original recipe, and this second number is the amount of people the original recipe calls for. So I'm just going to put people, and this is really bad, so if you can't read it, sorry. So I'm dividing this, but we actually never actually divide fractions. So we have to remember the keep, change, flip. So we have 2 over 1 times, and it's going to be 1 over 5 because we had to keep this number, change this sign, and flip the second fraction, okay, so that this was on its head, like we see down here. So now I multiply straight across. 2 times 1 is 2. 5 times 1 is 5. And so your unit rate for your amount of sugar would be 2/5 cup of sugar. Okay, so that's what I expect you to be writing down in your boxes. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, on your thing right here, so after I just solved that, I would write down my original recipe, amount, label, and ingredient. So I would say 2 cups of sugar. And then over here, the proportion unit rate, right? So I found out that my proportion for the unit rate is 2 over 1, and that's divided by, and we said 5, okay? And so the unit rate, amount, and label is like this, because we said it'd be 2/5, a 2/5 cup of sugar for one person. Okay, and we will finish doing the proportion amount in class, okay? So that's just an example. Well, now you're probably wondering, well, what happens if I have a weird ingredient like this? Like, let's say ingredient 2 is a 1/4 tablespoon, okay? 1/4 of a tablespoon. So here's what we would do. Come back over here and let's clean this page off. So if I have 1/4 of a tablespoon and I have 5 people, because I'm trying to find the proportion, right, or the unit rate. So I have to divide it by the amount of people the recipe calls for. So I have 1/4 divided by 5. I'm going to throw a 1 underneath this because it's a whole number. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the keep change flip. So this is going to turn to 1/4 times 1/5 and multiply straight across. So now I have 1/20. Okay, so my proportion or my unit rate for vegetable oil or whatever oil I said is going to be 1/20 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Okay, that's what that's going to look like. And then over here, I'm just going to show kind of how I did my math, which was 1/4 divided by 5. So that's kind of a little example of how I wanted you to do your homework today. So if you weren't able to get it done in class and you need extra help, click the links below. I have reviews to how to divide fractions in case you need that. And yeah, if you have any further questions, please message me. Have a great day.